Welcome, I'm the Deadwood Jedi. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video, and I have a doozy for you guys. We just got a new fusion champion coming down the pipelines, and my understanding is this isn't a fragment fusion, this is a fusion, and I can understand why. This is going to be a must-fuse champion, and I don't say that lightly. I rarely actually say that. I might have it on the thumbnail, but I never say that because, you know, so often it depends on your account. I think pretty much regardless of your account, this is going to be a must-fuse champion. Very unique kit, very unique abilities. I'm not 100% certain about that, right? Until we see them in action, understand the multipliers involved, it's kind of hard to really determine it. But from everything I see about this champion, this is going to be an incredibly good champion for us. Somebody everybody's going to want to get. The champion's going to be Helicath, a pretty outstanding champion. So let's look at the kit and break down what we know about him. So you can see the champion looks kind of cool, right? It's got that demon spawn kind of look to him with the purple and the red going on, but it's going to be his skills that are pretty amazing. So A1 is kind of whatever. 30% chance of placing weaken. That's actually pretty solid. Ignore shield and block damage buffs. Not as concerned about that. A2 is really interesting. Attacks all enemies, places a shield buff on all allies for 2 turns. The value of shield is proportional to this champion's defense. There's only one other champion in the game with a shield based off their defense, and that's Valkyrie. So the question is, are the multipliers of his shield going to be the same as Valkyrie's? Valkyrie's is 4 times her defense. That can mean Valkyrie's shield can be immensely huge, which is why she's so amazing. If those are the same multipliers on Helicath's shield, that's going to be really interesting, because now all of a sudden we have a second champion that can place shields as massive as Valkyrie does. But the thing that's going to make this kit and make it so much of a must fuse is not only that skill, but the next one, which actively places a block damage buff on all allies for 2 turns. Yes, we're getting another block damage champion. There's only a few of them in this game that do that as an AoE. Demitha, Warcaster, Roshkar the Tower, and now Helicath. So this is going to be great. Gives people another option for unkillable teams. And then the passive ability, whenever block damage buff placed on an ally by this champion's removed, stolen, or expired, places a 60% increased defense buff on that ally for 2 turns. That's kind of a nice little combination there. Now, you know, block damage doesn't necessarily lend itself to traditional teams, right? You don't need to build with defense and HP when you're blocking the damage, but that does enable him to I think that just helps with some of the champions that we have, helps to guide stuns, and can be really interesting. It could also be very problematic, especially when it comes to stun targeting. But I think it is something like worth keeping in mind that we have that increased defense buff comes along with this. It could be really nice. I don't know exactly how that's going to play out, but it could pair really nicely with champions that bring things like, you know, defensive champions like a Rosin or a Martyr, where you're trying to use them in an unkillable team or a semi-unkillable team. It could be very, very useful having that ability come out there with it. And then Feats of Agony, the passive, increases the champion's defense by 5% for each ally under a block damage buff, and counterattacks with the default skill whenever an ally is hit while under a block damage buff. Can occur once per enemy turn. So free counterattack there is pretty nice. Definitely not a bad thing there at all, and can be useful against things like Clan Boss. The extra defensive boost with the block damage buff being out there also could be pretty nice. So there's some interesting things about this kit that I think are really, really interesting. I'm really excited about. And that Winds of the Pit is the thing that's going to be the most intriguing about this. Also does have a nice defensive aura, all battles 30%. But it's that Winds of the Pit in conjunction with that block damage. If you guys are familiar with some of the tunes on the website, we have a Roshkar the Tower and Valkyrie unkillable team. And obviously, you know, Valkyrie is not an unkillable champion, but her shield is so massive that by placing it right before the stun, it renders your champions pretty much unkillable for like good 45 to 50 turns, depending on the defense level there. If Helicath's shield is equivalent to that, it might be possible that Helicath by himself can make an unkillable team. Now, not a 2-1 ratio unkillable team, but a 1-1 ratio unkillable team, which is significant by itself. Now, the most important things we're going to have to look out for, what are the cooldowns on these skills? If that A3, the Devoted Servants, books down to a 4-turn cooldown or less, it's going to be fantastic. If not, then it's not going to be as good. Winds of the Pit, we're going to have to pay attention to. Does that stay a 4-turn cooldown, or does that go to a 3-turn cooldown? I think either way it can be useful, but definitely as a 3-turn cooldown ability, or I should actually say as a 4-turn cooldown ability, it actually might be more beneficial because you can time when you want that skill to work. So if you're trying to make a single champion unkillable team with him, that might be the way to go. So there's definitely some interesting things in here. The fact that he brings a weaken as well is a really nice little touch, especially for clan boss. And this feels like very much a clan boss champion to me. Very much a clan boss champion that's going to be amazing in other areas. I'm not sure about the affinity matchup, but this seems perfectly situated for Bommel. Block damage from the bombs and big shields for the bombs. Seems ideal. Seems like he could be really good for Hydra, obviously. Blocking damage, giving an increased defense buff, massive shield, bringing weaken. There's definitely some things that are going to be really advantageous when it comes to that as well. So definitely a champion that I feel like is going to be very useful in a lot of areas of this game. And I think this is definitely a must-fuse champion. I mean, I can't see this kit, even if you take away the shield ability on the A2, the weaken ability on the A1. He's still got a 2-turn block damage skill. That's a very rare ability in this game and definitely something worth getting. Now, the only reason why I would say this is not a must-fuse champion is if that A3 becomes a 5-turn cooldown or longer. If it does not book down to a 4-turn cooldown, I do not see this champion being nearly as effective and is probably somebody I would skip. Because, well, I wouldn't skip him, obviously, but it becomes a lot harder to bring somebody like that into a team. You see all the machinations we have to do to make a man-eater fit. We have to bring in pain keepers. We have to do all this crazy stuff. If his block damage ability is a 5-turn cooldown, that's just a 1 turn too long to make him reasonably viable for most teams. And so what I would really be focusing on is kind of keeping that to a 4-turn cooldown. And if that's the case, which I think it is, this is going to be an incredibly strong champion for us. And definitely we'll be seeing some videos out utilizing this champion in Clan Boss. And the fact that he's a fusion means that everybody all of a sudden has the opportunity to make an unkillable team on their accounts. Now, obviously fusions take a lot of resources, so you definitely want to start saving now. This is going to go live Thursday, June 9th. That's when this is going to be the fusion here. So you're going to want to save up your resources for that moment in time, and then you're going to hopefully be able to get them, because it's going to be one of those things where you're going to have to get all the rare champions, make them into epics, all the epic champions, make them into the legendary. And so get your potions ready, get your food ready for farming and for the champion or for the champion, what do you call it, the leveling one, right? All the different tournaments that you have to do in order to get these champions. It's going to be really important. So I definitely feel like this is somebody where if you've been saving your resources, congratulations, we've finally gotten a really, really good champion. And Helicath, I think, is going to be that one. Now, obviously, if you have an unkillable team, you have a clan boss team all set, I don't know that he's a must fuse, but I see all these skills being really useful in a lot of areas of this game, and not just for clan boss. I mean, I think, obviously, Hydra sounds incredible. Being able to block damage is extremely strong, and that massive shield is extremely strong, even if you skip the block damage aspect of his kit. On top of that, you know, you can bring him into areas like Bommel. I think he's going to be exceptional for, and definitely somebody I would be looking at for that area of the game. And I feel like there's only going to be more areas where he's going to be useful. So this is definitely a tool kit. This is definitely a tool I want to have in my kit when I'm building my teams for different areas of this game. So hopefully, hopefully you guys are ready. I'm excited to see how this one goes down. I haven't been excited for a fusion in a long, long time, like really excited. This one I'm really excited about. I think this could be a really interesting champion. So that's all we got for today. Hopefully this was helpful for you guys. Until next we meet, I'm the Deadwood Jedi.